to another edition of Unrestricted Flavor. I'm your host, Mark Dirksing. Today we're doing our second part of our sourdough bread loaf episodes. And so we've already created our starter. I've got that right here, and we're going to unveil it right now. And there we are. We have our starter ready. And all we have to do now is mix a few more ingredients, knead it, let it rise. So one of the things I would say is I'm really just following the directions on the back of the King Arthur gluten-free bread flour. This is not my recipe. The intent of these episodes is just to show that we can overcome challenging obstacles if we put our minds to it. Sourdough bread is not an easy thing to create, but with some perseverance we can do it. I used to be a manager at Panera Bread, so I've always kind of had a joy for bread. And so what's really nice is that I did hate waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to work, but I love the smell of fresh bread. So it's really nice to have this in my condo and be able to appreciate something new. So I just wanted to share that with you. The other thing I want to explain is the reason I have this bandage is I'm an amateur photographer, and I've been doing a lot of bird photography, and I happen to put my camera backpack in a field of poison ivy, and so I have poison ivy wherever my backpack touched me. So all right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and put our ingredients together and get going. So all right, so what we need now is we will start with our flour. So we're just got let's see, 1 3/4 cup of King Arthur gluten-free bread flour, and we are going to add that to our starter. We have to add a 1/2 teaspoon. Where are you? There we are. 1/2 teaspoon of our active yeast. Add that. We are going to add a teaspoon of salt. 2 teaspoons of granulated sugar. And then we need our warm water again, and we will be adding 3/4 cup. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started. Get the water warm. All right, and it is wise when you're doing some bread making to have a rolling pin and a cloth for your dough. We're not going to use that right now, but we're getting it ready. Let's keep my working space clean. All right, we have our 3/4 cup of water, and we're just going to, it's warm, it recommends about 100 degrees, so we're going to add that into our starter as well. And we're going to do the same thing we did yesterday with our starter. So we are just going to mix this all together until it's well blended, and it will start sticking to your fingers and becoming a dough. And then once we have this completely mixed together, we are going to cover it and let it rise for 40 minutes. So once we get this all mixed together, we're going to cover it again with our cloth, let it rise, and come back in 40 minutes. And then we have a few more things to do to it, and then we will put it in the oven. So another thing that you need to be thinking about at this stage is that we're going to be putting this in a Dutch oven at 450 degrees. And that Dutch oven needs to be warmed to that 450-degree temperature before you put your bread into it. So that will be our next step. So there we have it. I'm going to get this off my fingers, but that is what it should look like. And we'll cover it with a cloth. And let it rise. Try to get as much off my fingers as I can, but you'll find when you're doing this it is extremely sticky, so you're not going to be able to save all of it. You'll just have to wash it off. So there we have it. It will also, because I'm mixing it with my hands, it may appear clumpy. That is okay. Those clumps will come out in the baking process. All right, and there we have it. And I'm going to cover it. And I will be back in 40 minutes. Well, I'm back sooner than I thought. I made a mistake. I wasn't able to see the directions all that well, so we actually are letting this sit for 20 minutes, our first step, to let it rise. After that 20 minutes, we're going to take it out and we are going to knead it, and then we'll put it back in the bowl and let it rise for another 40 minutes. So apologize for that. If you are working along, you want to first let it set for 20 minutes and then 40 minutes. So I will be back shortly. The 20 minutes are almost up and we will get started in the next step. Our 20 minutes is up. We are going to knead our bread, our loaf, our dough. And what we're gonna do first is I've got my cloth down. I'm gonna take a little bit of the flour, dust the cloth so that the dough does not stick to my cloth. We are going to get our dough out so it has risen some. We're going to scoop this out. It's not quite as sticky anymore. And then we are going to kind of dust the ball with more flour. And we are just going to knead it. So we're just going to turn it over on itself a number of times. It kind of gets some of that air out of it, so that we have less bubbles when it's baking. We'll do this. It recommends 5 to 6 times, but you know what? Just have fun with it. It's kind of reminiscent of my days playing with Play-Doh. And isn't that what adulthood is all about, is trying to feel like a kid again. So, like I say, cooking should be fun, and it is. So now that we've got our bread kneaded, we are going to shape it into a ball and put it back into our bowl. And this is when we are going to let it rise for 40 minutes. So we've got it. We're going to put it back into our bowl, cover it, and I will see you in 40 minutes. All right, welcome back. 40 minutes is up. The timer just went off, so we're going to check our dough. And there we have it. It has risen. So we are actually going to repeat the last process. We're going to drop it on our cloth, sprinkle our dough, our flour. This is gluten-free flour as well. We're going to take out our loaf and we are going to knead it again. Turn it over. itself. And again, it recommends about 5 to 6 times. And there we go. We are going to shape it back into our ball. Put it back in the bowl, and we are going to let it rise one last time for 40 more minutes. At this point, during this 40 minutes, we are going to want to put our Dutch oven in the oven at 450 degrees to get the Dutch oven to that temperature. Once the Dutch oven is warmed and this 40 minutes is up, we'll put the dough into the Dutch oven and we'll bake it for 40 minutes and we will have our loaf of sourdough. I'll be back in 40 minutes. Quick reminder to set your oven at 450 and get your Dutch oven into it as we wait for our bread to rise. And there we have it. So once the timer goes off for our bread, we will get the Dutch oven out, put our dough in it, and let it cook. Welcome back. We are ready to go. All right, so we have the dough has risen. And now we are going to shape it into our loaf, score it. And then last time I made this, I did not do this, but I remembered from working at Panera that we used to steam our sourdough to get that nice shine. So this time round, I'm gonna try putting a little bit, like a little glaze of water over top to see if I can get that shine that we used to get at Panera. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna take our dough out of the bowl. Like I said, we're just going to get a nice shape. There we are. Then we are going to get our warm Dutch oven out of the oven. Let's go ahead and I'm going to just wet my hands with water. Normally I'd have a spray bottle, but I don't have one. I'm just gonna wet my hands with water and kind of brush it over the top to see if I can get that shine. Then we're gonna go ahead and score the top. And there we go. I have a knife or a blade that I use just for food, but we're just going to score it. So you just want to cut through the surface a little bit. We're not trying to go too deep, but you just want to score it a little bit. That's what gives us our little pattern after we bake. So now that we have it scored, we are going to get our Dutch oven out. Put it there. We are going to take our loaf and we're going to put it at the base. So it'll just go in the middle like so, and we are going to put this into the oven and we are going to cover it at this point. And just to double check, so yes, we will bake it with the lid on for 40 minutes. Then we will take the lid off and bake it for an additional 20 to 30 minutes. And then we have our loaf of sourdough bread. So I'll be back in about 40 more minutes. Thank you. All right, well, the timer just went off, so we're gonna go ahead and get our loaf out. And I'm just going to show it to you. We still need to put it back in uncovered for 20 to 30 minutes, but here we are. So we're going to put it back in for 20 minutes. Uncovered this time. And actually, I might just hit it with a tiny bit of water again to see if I can get it to shine. And there we go. I'll be back in 20 minutes. All right, we're back. While our bread has been cooking its last stage, I went ahead and put together more starter so that I can continue making bread tomorrow. So you can keep the process going, but now that I know how simple this is and that I can do it, I will always have fresh, delicious gluten-free sourdough bread whenever I want. All right, well, let's get it out of the oven and check our sourdough. Perfect timing. All right, and there we have it. One loaf of sourdough bread. Thank you for joining me. The one thing that I realized while this last phase was cooking, that I can do something that I haven't been able to do in over 5 years. One of my favorite things to get at Panera Bread was soup in a sourdough bread bowl. And I have not been able to do that in so long, so I am looking forward to cutting this out and pouring in a bowl of chicken tortilla, ratatouille, or baked potato soup very soon. Thank you again. This has been another episode of Unrestricted Flavor. I appreciate all of you. I look forward to next time. Please like, share, and subscribe. I also have a Facebook group where I continue the conversation. Please join us. Let's start feeling better together.